Attorney General Jeff Sessions turning his attention this week to curtailing the culture of leaks. Sessions finalizing numbers today, which are said to show a jump in the number of leak cases being pursued this year. An event announcing those findings will take place later this week. Joining me now to discuss White House leaks, the Russia probe, and the possibility of a second special counsel, George Washington University law professor Jonathan Turley. Jonathan, good to see you.
Thank you.
Before anything really happens of a determinate nature regarding these leaks, I think somebody's got to get arrested. I mean, every kind of motive that you have for leaking could be stopped cold if people really are afraid they're going to be arrested and go to jail. What do you think?
Well, I think that's true. You know, in the law, there's always been this belief that deterrence is really determined by the rate of detection or the severity of the crime. As the rate of detection goes down, you have to increase the severity of the punishment. In this situation, we have a very low detection rate, and I think that's obviously contributing to much of this. What is quite clear is that this is going to be an emphasis of the Trump administration. They're going to put a lot of resources towards this.
Well, a big question is whether Jeff Sessions will be the one that follows through on this or whether somebody else will be appointed. We have today John Kelly asserting himself as the new chief of staff. He has to be replaced at the Department of Homeland Security. Some people said they could move Sessions over to replace Kelly, then appoint a new attorney general who may then do something about the Mueller investigation, like maybe fire Mueller.
I wrote a column about that called it the doomsday scenario, and I didn't put that title in lightly. People in Congress have clearly signaled that they will not tolerate, these are Republicans, the termination of Mueller. It could very well trigger the Independent Counsel Act being brought back. It would prolong this investigation. Many of us still don't see the crime here. Right. I think this is a scandal in search of a crime as we currently know it, at least a major crime, and certainly no crime we've seen connected to the president. So in many ways, you know, the president has a lot to gain by a completion of an investigation that clears him and his administration. Thus far, we've only seen relatively minor and marginal crimes, things like FARA violations for foreign agent registrations or omissions from FS-86 forms, which are rarely prosecuted.
If I could interrupt for a second, it goes even further than that, which is that even the suggestion of crime has taken a totally different twist based on what happened last week when we heard testimony from people suggesting that the Democrats were working through an organization called Fusion GPS with some members of the Russian government to put out bad information on Donald Trump. So there's been a kind of an equalization of the collusion charge, if you will, whereas now you have a good amount of evidence that it was happening between Putin and the Democrats.
No, I think there may be some buyer's remorse that comes out of this. When you start to peel back this cover from Washington, you're going to find, first of all, that Russian money in this town is a torrent. There's a lot of Russian investment, a lot of Russian money, a lot of Russian connections. But when you start to get into issues like collusion with foreign governments, that's going to really involve a lot of Democrats as well as Republicans. And I think that what we're seeing now on Capitol Hill is a lot of people saying this could really end up causing a lot of broken china on both sides of the aisle.
By the way, speaking of broken china and more collusion, there's a story of Imran Awan. He was the person who was working for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. He had access working in their IT department, had a lot of access to secret stuff. It turns out he had a very cozy relationship with Pakistan, and in fact his wife and other members of his family, when he was arrested for bank fraud, it turned out they had earlier escaped, if you will, to Pakistan. And now it appears that the Congressional Federal Credit Union, perhaps the most important credit union in the country because it deals with Congress, was at least a part of this, probably an unwitting part of this bank fraud, having given a far too generous loan to this guy and then sent money over to a banking institution in Pakistan, which could have been corrupt. So there's This is a strange case, is it not?
No, this is one of the strangest news scandals. We're going to have to number these like world wars because I'm getting confused. But this one is really a doozy. I mean, first of all, this entire family was in the employ of Congress and people like Debbie Wasserman Schultz and received millions of dollars. And they're now accused of double charging, even stealing equipment, but also having a rather impressive array of crimes extending beyond Congress. And these are people who are working on the personal computers and laptops of people like Wasserman Schultz, who are on sensitive committees. I can't imagine how this ever happened, and a lot of people, as they dig a little deeper, are getting more and more questions about how could possibly this individual and his family have remained on this payroll. Remember, back in January, there were people writing about this scandal, and yet he remained on the payroll, remained on getting access to these offices.
And what's most curious is this cozy relationship he not only had with Pakistan, but also with the Congressional Federal Credit Union. What is that all about? It may be a big scandal there. We have to leave it there. Jonathan Turley, great to see you. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Great to see you.